Hi, we're Art and Bree. 4 years ago, we left the city to buy a 100-year-old farm to turn it into our own productive homestead where we can grow our own food, build a healthy life, and raise our kids just how we like. If you want to join us in our homesteading adventure on our small farm, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. What are you finding in this mess?
Well, in the glorious jungle end of summer garden, we are doing our last harvest today. So we have two things to harvest, which is our tiny little butternut squash and our sweet potato harvest, which is what I am extremely excited about because now I get to find out how well we did. You know, it's just sweet potatoes, they grow under the ground. You don't know what your harvest is going to be. Excuse me, I just ate a pepper from the garden, a sweet pepper. Our butternut squash, this is probably our worst harvest we've ever had. Though it's abundant, the actual fruit is very small. So though they be small, they be mighty, because they will still fill our tummies for the winter. Okay, we just had an okay butternut squash harvest. It was not great, but I've begun harvesting the sweet potatoes, and that's one row, and it's looking like it's gonna be a mighty fine harvest. This is a good thing, but it is something that I don't love, is that we're having huge potatoes come out of the ground. But I actually prefer more medium-sized potatoes, so I wonder if you have any control over that when you grow them. Like, can you control the size? Should you harvest them earlier, plant them differently, plant a different variety? Either way, I'm very pleased so far with the beginning of our harvest.
What are these?
What are they? You tell me.
What are those?
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Giant praying mantis.
Good, fine.
Well, an adult praying mantis. We usually find ones that are this big though. And I think it's a girl, and I also think if it is a girl, it's about out. But I'll probably keep it for like a few hours and look at it and stuff. And feed it a fly and watch it hunt it and then let it go. Oh, I found a really long one.
So we might need to use the pitchfork, okay, so you don't break it off. Holy wow. Good job, wow.
It's big. I knocked the demo down with what gas sinking.
Wow, it looks really good.
About that big.
Great job, y'all. Amazing.
There were some huge ones that we found, and the whole tops were totally eaten out hollow.
What do you think ate them?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look up what eats sweet potatoes.
I bet it's the voles. Oh my goodness, it's a giant! Amazing.
I found one about this big.
I mean, it's a good harvest.
Wow, what do you think of all the sweet potatoes, Halder? Why do you have a Brett in your hair?
Because his sister's pretending he's her sister. Dad, are you filming? Let me do it.
Here's one, here's one, here's one.
You want me to hold your... I got it.
Whoa!
Oh, something got this one. We have a few like that, but some of the ones were like totally hollow.
It's gotta be a mammal. I don't think an insect can do a hole that big.
Yeah, I mean, some of them were like completely hollowed out on top. I'll have to see if I can find those.
I think it's a vole or mole.
Well, let's hope not, because those are really difficult to get rid of. Like, your parents don't even grow sweet potatoes anymore because of voles.
Cool.
They're tired of dealing with them. Oh yeah, this is so much fun. I've never done this before. Really? Okay, I had no idea.
Look how many we got.
Look at the harvest. So even though I knew, I was hoping that our sweet potato harvest would be really good, and it was. We have probably 200 pounds, if not more, of sweet potatoes. I knew it would make up for our bad butternut squash harvest, so I am so pleased. And this is really our first ever extremely successful sweet potato harvest.
That's a lot of food. How much did the slips cost to plant all those sweet potatoes?
Maybe $15.
Yep. So that's $15 of sweet potatoes, plus a lot of fun, hard work.
Well, we planted them. They were weeded heavily one time, and then we harvested them.
Right.
That's not much work. That's amazing. I mean, let's see. Probably took, what, an hour to plant them? Probably took, what time is it?
It is 12:55.
So it took about 2 hours to harvest them, and probably about, 4 to 8 hours to weed them.
Yep.
So $15 and 10 hours of work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge amount of payback.
How much do you think they cost a pound?
Organic sweet potatoes?
Yeah.
They're like $3 a pound.
Okay. I bet it's
So
150 pounds. Not 200.
Well, you always go under, I go over. It's probably 175. But our potatoes were about like this, weren't they? And it was 200 pounds.
Yeah, close to it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about 200 pounds.
Yeah, potentially $600 worth of organic sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I mean, some won't last the winter, but most will.
Hey, when do you think our first real hard freeze will be? Because I need to get these peppers out of here before we have a freeze or a really hard frost, but I want as many of them as possible to look like this. But that's still like a week or two or maybe 3 weeks out.
I would at least harvest, go ahead and get I would harvest what you can, because it's going to be 37 one night this week.
Are you serious?
Saturday night. Tomorrow night. And the high is only like 50, or no, it's like 48.
Oh, I may cover them and risk it. I think I would cover them with a blanket.
Yeah, we need to get some row cover anyway. I'm wanting to go to Asheville this weekend, so I'll probably go by this season, because I want to row cover all my greens, because I want to eat them for longer.
Okay.
My lettuce, because lettuce doesn't do well in the frost.
Okay, cool. Oh, almost ran you.
So I did say at the beginning of this video this was our final harvest, but it's not really. It's our final really big harvest. I still have some tomatoes to harvest, and I have greens to harvest all winter. But it's our final huge harvest. We do have spinach is doing really well. Our collards are coming on. My lettuces are coming on. And this is actually the row that I'm going to cover, because the spinach and the lettuce will die in the frost. But the kale and the Swiss chard, our kale looks amazing. Our Swiss chard, look at it.
This is some of the best kale we've ever grown.
Yeah, look here, look at our Swiss chard. I mean, this is going to feed us all winter. I think Swiss chard does need to be covered. So I might cover that, because I'd like to eat that as long as possible. So this bed that I'm standing in front of and the one behind me is also filled with winter greens that we are hoping to just be eating throughout the whole winter, because there is just nothing like having fresh greens from the garden in January. It's not only good for your body, but it's like good for your spirit. It's nice to come up to the garden and see something growing. And our kales we will not have to cover at all. Even in our coldest of winters, it lives, and it actually just gets tastier and sweeter. So one thing you want to grow this winter, it would be kale. The other great thing about kale is that you're going to harvest this through the winter, but it's not going to grow back. So once you've harvested what you've got, you're done. Don't pull your plants out. In the spring, it'll just come right back, and you can just eat off of it while your young plants are growing up. So basically, kale is probably the most magnificent plant to grow in the garden, because it's like a 4-season harvest, and it kind of regenerates itself. Pretty incredible. It's as big as my head.
That one looks a lot like collards, but it is a kale variety.
Yeah, this is kale. It does look like collards, but it's not. I mean, our Swiss chard, look at this. I mean, I basically need 4 leaves to feed the family. I prefer Swiss chard over kale. It's so much yummier. So good.
Dinosaur!
Be a dinosaur?
He's a chartosaur. Chartosaurus.
No, tyrannosaurus are meat eaters.
Chartosaurus.
Oh, chartosaurus.
I'm a dinosaurus.
My next plan was to actually weed eat the garden to move towards getting it put to bed totally for the winter. But then the guy who mows my lawn showed up, and I have him mow my lawn because he has a huge mower and he can knock it out in 1/5 the time that I can, so it's actually worth it to me. And I said, hey, why don't I just have him knock this out while he's here, because there's 2 of them. They can do it in no time. So I'm running around and getting things ready. they're gonna jump in here and weed eat all the areas that we're gonna put tarps on. We got a bunch of tomatoes today, and it's actually the end of the tomato season. It's kind of sad, but these big tomato towers are coming down. But first, I have to actually get all these strings out of this system. All right, it's done. The garden is over for the year. It's pretty final. I'll show you why. It's all weed-eated down. Except for just a couple things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure there's no string left over from this trellis. I used a synthetic string to tie this up, and I don't want any of it in the garden.
Where do you want to go? And he said, to the beach. Yeah, his teeth are longer.
Is he not heavy?
No? You want to hold it all the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Want it down.
It's kind of sad, honestly.
Why?
He loved beefsteak. And he knows this is beefsteak, and he knows we ate him.
I don't think it's sad. He doesn't cry. He just talks about it.
It makes me sad.
Why?
But it's just kind of sad that he has to realize like the realities of life and death. And he's just this little innocent kid. You don't have to be sad. I'm a little sad about it.
I'm not sad about it at all. I actually think it's like a wonderful thing that he understands life and death, and he understands food and where it comes from. If he was upset about it like Joy used to be, then, you know, we would take measures to protect him more, but it's interesting to him. He's not sad.
Yeah, I agree. I guess
It's not taken apart.
I'm confident in what we're doing out here. It's not like I never question what we do. And I do sometimes wonder what our kids' perspective will be on animals and meat, and if they'll all end up vegetarians. But I don't think we're doing the wrong thing.
I don't think they will.
I don't think so.
None
either.
of them seem... Joyful's the only one who ever seems interested in being a vegetarian, and
She likes meat too much.
but she likes meat too much. Every time she tries like to be like, okay, I don't want to eat that animal because I knew it, we're like, that's fine. And I make her alternate food because she'll say I don't want to eat it, and I'll make her something else or leave the meat out of her portion, and then within a couple of days she's like, oh, I'm okay with it now. So, you know, I don't feel like we're forcing them. We respect it when they have questions, and whenever they want to take a different path, we're like, okay, we'll support you in that.
Absolutely. We've never made them participate in butchering stuff either.
No, and
ever.
they always ask to.
Yeah, we've been very careful to not say you have to do this. Because if they decide, if they have anything in them that says I don't want to do this, they can go off and play. Any butchering day, they can go play. I guess another perspective on this is a 2-year-old getting firsthand experience. Science. He's actually dissecting the bones of the sinus passage of a cow. Who knows? Maybe one day he'll be an allergist or something.
This is not the cow bone.
It's inside of his nose. Where's your nose?
It's called sinus bones. They're very fine.
So this part of his bone is this part of you.
I got it.
You got it.
We got the bones.
Yep, it's called nasal passages. Can you say nasal passages?
I got on his hat.
Did the wrong thing. I did not get dinner in the crock pot or the Instant Pot, so it's like, what time is it? Like 5:30?
It's 4:50.
Oh, that's good.
I
I gotta go make dinner now. And I
about
think, do I want to get some greens while I'm up here? I think I might just make easy tacos really fast.
There is one more head of cabbage in here. I've been pulling them out over the past few days and making sauerkraut. I've made 2 or 3 extra batches that I didn't film for the channel. Small batches. Here it is, last head of cabbage out of an awesome cabbage harvest. I'll have to take off a few layers of leaves, but once from this layer down, it'll be good. Most of y'all know that our Fermenting Foundations course is actually now available, and the cart is open until Sunday night at midnight. I have been told by many of our viewers that they were afraid of fermenting because they didn't want to get sick. This morning I actually had a really cool conversation with one of the top experts on the science of fermentation safety. His name is Fred Bright, and he works for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and he's a federal employee. He actually answered his phone. I called him. Very nice man. We had a talk, and I sent out this morning an email. It's, will fermenting make you sick? So actually, I want to share this for those of you who have fear about fermenting. So I'm going to put a chunk of this email in the video description. At the heart of the email is basically what convinced me that fermenting was safe. When I first started fermenting, I was actually afraid too, and I remembered yesterday the first batch of sauerkraut I ever made. I was afraid to give it to my kids. I think what I wrote might help some of you, so it's actually in the video description. Can you carry that? It's kind of heavy.
What did you just call it?
It's kind of heavy.
What is that?
I got it.
You got it. What is this?
It's back.
It's package.
All right, see you in a little. Okay, I'm done in the garden for now. We're not quite done putting it to bed for the winter. We still need to spread tarps. There's a small problem though. The guys only had strings on their weed eater, so there's still some stubble here I have to take care of. I've piled all the bamboo poles over here. Those are actually gonna compost, and you won't believe how fast they break down. A couple years, but they'll break down to soil. We're gonna lay all these sweet potatoes out on the hay in here to let them cure a little bit. Ideally, you cure them in a really warm environment and it dries the outside and helps them last longer. But we don't really have a warm environment. Okay, that's done. They're in the barn. They're where they need to be for now. It'll probably just be a couple days though till it's gonna be too cold. And if they freeze, they'll be turned to mush. And then they'll go in these nice stackable boxes where they can just be stacked individually and stored for the winter. This wood chip pile has been so much fun for the kids. Hey kid, don't throw them off the pile. You can throw them on the pile. They've had more fun on there than anything else for the last while. He's throwing bricks. What a great game. I love kids and their creativity, and they can take anything from a brick to a mulch pile and have just as much fun as, I don't know, an expensive playground. A playground, she says.
This mulch pile is more fun than a playground right now.
It's more fun than a playground, Grace says. I love that about kids. They keep us on our toes, but they also just remind us to have fun with simple things. It's great. Time for me to do my chores.
There's the geese.
That was an awesome sweet potato harvest.
I am so thankful for it. I'm just, I was hoping it was a really good harvest, but you just never know. But we did take care of the patch this year, so I felt like it was going to be good. And we didn't weigh it, we just not taking the time to do it. But I think it's around 200 pounds just because that's the amount of white potatoes we got. It was about the same.
I have a great idea.
What's your great idea?
Stop, big ones.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. It's been another great day on the homestead.
Did it feel good just to do some farming today, honey? Some gardening?
It actually felt really good.
Aw.
That's not what I was expecting to do, but it was awesome.
Yeah, but it's what we need to. I've been planning all week to do sweet potatoes today. So.
Yeah.
Was it nice to like start something and just finish it in the same day?
It was.
Yeah.
See ya.